The Calloway family, James, his wife Sarah, and their 2 children, Emily and Ben, were always in search of adventure. Road trips, hikes, and camping trips were their thing. So, when they stumbled upon an unmarked cave hidden deep in the Appalachian Mountains, James's curiosity got the better of him. A local hiker they met at a gas station had warned them to stay away. His voice had been low, almost a whisper. "There's something wrong with that cave," he'd said. "People go in, but not all come out." James had chuckled, waving the warning off. "Just campfire stories," he had told Sarah. Now, standing at the mouth of the cave, he wasn't so sure. The entrance was a gaping wound in the mountainside, surrounded by thick vines and twisted roots. Cold air seeped from within, carrying a damp, earthy scent. The sunlight barely penetrated past the first few feet, leaving the interior shrouded in darkness. "Let's just take a quick look," James said, switching on his flashlight. Sarah hesitated, gripping Ben's hand tightly. "I don't know, James," she murmured. "It'll be fine," he assured her. "Just a few minutes." Reluctantly, Sarah followed, pulling Ben and Emily close. They stepped into the cave, the light of day vanishing behind them. Trapped, the deeper they ventured, the colder it became. Water dripped from the ceiling in slow, deliberate beats, like the ticking of a clock. Their voices echoed strangely, distorted and elongated. Then the rumbling started. A sudden tremor shook the ground beneath them. Sarah gasped as loose rocks tumbled from the ceiling. "The entrance!" James shouted. They turned and ran, but it was too late. With a deafening crash, the entrance collapsed in a cloud of dust and debris. Ben screamed. Emily clung to Sarah, sobbing. James rushed to the pile of fallen rocks, digging frantically. "No, no, no!" He pushed against the boulders, but they didn't budge. "We're trapped," Sarah whispered. The weight of the words settled over them like a death shroud. "Something else is here." James tried to stay calm. "Okay, we just need to find another way out. Caves have multiple tunnels, right?" He turned, sweeping the flashlight around. The beam illuminated a long, winding tunnel stretching into the abyss. With no other choice, they moved forward. But after only a few steps, they heard it. A sound, faint at first, like the shuffle of feet. Then a whisper. "Daddy?" James froze. Emily looked up at him in confusion. "I didn't say anything." Sarah's breath hitched. "Then who did?" The whisper came again, this time from deeper within the tunnel. "Daddy, help me?" James shone his flashlight ahead, but there was nothing, only more darkness. The sound of dripping water, the stale, suffocating air. A cold wave of dread washed over him. "We need to go back," Sarah said, voice trembling. But when they turned around, the path behind them had changed. The tunnel they had come through was gone. The walls seemed different, as if they had shifted when they weren't looking. Panic set in. "We have to keep moving," James said, trying to sound in control, but his hands were shaking. They walked in silence, the only sound their own footsteps, until the whispering started again. This time, it was everywhere. Not one voice, but many. "You are not alone." Ben whimpered. Sarah squeezed his hand, so tight her knuckles turned white. James swung the flashlight wildly. The shadows danced along the uneven walls, twisting and stretching into grotesque shapes. Then something moved. At first, it was just a flicker, a shape shifting in the periphery, a shadow that shouldn't have been there. And then they saw it. A figure. No, multiple figures, crawling along the walls. Their limbs were too long, their fingers unnaturally sharp, their faces hollow, empty voids where eyes should be. And they were smiling. The flashlight flickered. Sarah gasped as the shadows lunged. Emily screamed. Then the light went out. The last echo. James fumbled in the dark, hands searching for his wife, his children. Sarah, Emily, Ben. No response. Only the sound of something wet and ragged breathing close. Too close. Then one last whisper right against his ear. "You belong to us now." The flashlight blinked back to life for a split second, just long enough for James to see the cave walls, and the hundreds of faces embedded in them, screaming, twisted in eternal terror. The Calloway family had joined them, and the cave was silent once more.